Welcome to the Mass Debate channel, deep dives into meaty matters, where we explore the bold and unexpected moves in politics and everything else. In this premiere episode, we delve into Melania Trump's public break from her husband, Donald Trump, and the Republican Party on abortion rights. Melania's unwavering support for women's individual freedom over their bodies challenges the GOP's platform and could sway voters in the upcoming election. We examine the political and public reactions, including criticism from figures like Harris and J.D. Vance, and the potential impact on the November 5th election. Melania's stance aligns with the pro-choice movement, creating a significant rift within the Trump family and the Republican Party. This deep dive uncovers the complexities of this debate and its possible influence on political narratives. Join us as we analyze how Melania's position could reshape perspectives on abortion and challenge traditional party lines. Don't miss this insightful exploration into a pivotal issue that continues to shape the political landscape. This is only part one of the abortion debate. Stay tuned for part two, where we take a deep dive into the abortion debate from all perspectives, including fathers' rights.
Okay, so get this.
We're diving into some serious political drama today.
Okay.
Melania Trump, on the record about abortion rights.
All right.
And it's not what a lot of people were expecting.
Interesting.
So we got a lot of questions from you all out there.
I bet.
We've got our sources.
Right.
Let's unpack this thing.
Yeah, this is a fascinating... You know how this goes way beyond, like, just a difference of opinion with her husband?
Oh, yeah.
This is, like, cutting to the core of, like, a huge Republican policy.
Yeah.
And it's happening right as we're heading into this election.
Right. It's like throwing a wrench into the entire Republican playbook.
Totally.
Especially with this new memoir hitting the shelves.
Oh, yeah.
Like, talk about dropping a bombshell right before voters head to the polls.
Yeah, and it's not even like she made some subtle statement. Her words are very clear. No room for compromise when it comes to a woman's individual freedom and abortion.
Wow.
So she is fully aligning herself with something that has been a point of contention in the Republican Party for years.
Yeah, and she really drives the point home with this quote from her book.
Oh, really?
Why should anyone, other than the woman herself, have the power to determine what she does with her own body?
It's not every day you see, like, a politician's spouse disagreeing so publicly, especially with such a direct question.
Right.
Kind of makes me think about when Hillary Clinton disagreed with Bill Clinton about health care.
Uh-huh.
But this feels different somehow.
Yeah.
More bold.
Okay, so that's Melania's stance.
But we've got to address the elephant in the room here. Or should I say the Trump in the room.
Right.
Her husband's on the campaign trail right now. And he's got a very different perspective.
Very different, yeah. He's publicly supported overturning Roe v. Wade. And his campaign right now really leans on the idea that states should be able to decide on abortion rights.
It's true.
Which raises a lot of questions for voters.
These are huge questions.
About how aligned they really are on such a critical issue.
Yeah, it's like, how do you reconcile those two viewpoints when you're literally trying to reoccupy the White House together?
Right, and it gets even more complex.
Oh, gosh.
When you remember that he previously hinted that he would support a national ban on abortion after 15 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So we're adding a whole other layer here.
Layers upon layers in this political onion.
But let's talk about the reactions, because, there were some strong ones.
Oh, yeah.
Especially from the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, the Harris campaign did not hold back at all.
They are calling out what they're calling the Trump abortion ban.
Okay.
Pointing out all of the restrictions it's placed on women's access to abortion.
So they're going after the hypocrisy here.
Exactly. They're directly tying her words
to
the actual results of his policies.
Right.
Saying that her stance kind of rings hollow when you think about the real impact that it's had on women's health and freedom.
Wow.
That's a really strong strategy.
It is, don't you think?
Yeah, it really makes you think about the weight of words versus actions. and how voters are actually going to interpret this kind of disconnect.
He does.
It's like, is this calculated or is this a genuine difference of opinion?
With very serious consequences.
Yeah.
And it gets even more interesting when you think about how this could actually impact the Republican Party.
Right.
Because it's not just like her personal view. This is huge.
This is like a major crack in their platform.
Yeah, and it's happening right when the Republican Party's dealing with all this other stuff, you know, with all these divisions about social issues.
Totally. So you're saying that she might have like unintentionally opened up this whole can of worms.
It's definitely possible.
Wow.
Think about it. Political parties, they change based on what's happening inside and outside of the party.
Yeah.
And her statement, I don't know if it was strategic or an accident.
Right.
But it's forcing everyone to talk about like what the Republican Party actually believes about reproductive rights.
So this could be huge. Like, could we see an actual change in their platform because of this?
Well, it's not impossible.
Right.
We know that what the public thinks is powerful. And seeing this very public disagreement within a famous Republican family, it might give courage to the people inside the party who want to find a middle ground on abortion.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And what about all the voters who are somewhere in the middle, you know? Not really on either side.
Right.
How do you think they're processing all of this?
That is a great question.
I think for some people, her statement could make voting Republican more appealing,
Yeah.
especially women who are more moderate and who really don't like where the party stands on abortion.
Right.
But then you have other people who might think it's just a tactic,
Right.
just a way to get more votes without actually changing any policies.
Yeah, it all comes back to authenticity, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Like, do we believe her?
And that's what makes this so interesting.
Right.
It's not just about analyzing policy anymore.
Yeah.
It's about understanding why people do things.
Right.
And then what could happen because of it.
It's like we're watching a political drama play out right in front of us.
Yes.
And we're just waiting to see what's going to happen.
And while we don't know what's going to happen,
Right.
one thing is certain. Politics are unpredictable,
So true.
especially now when personal stories and these social issues are so important for winning elections.
Absolutely. So is this going to be like a defining moment or just a little blip on the radar?
It's hard to know for sure.
Yeah.
But we do know that abortion is something that many voters feel very strongly about.
Mm-hmm.
And her statement could definitely resonate with people who put that issue above everything else.
Especially the ones who already had doubts about the Republicans.
Exactly.
But at the same time, we have to remember that elections are often decided by other things.
Yeah.
Like the economy, healthcare, foreign policy.
Yeah, the big ones.
Right.
So while her statement has gotten a lot of attention,
Mm-hmm.
and it started important conversations,
Right.
we still don't know if it will change how people vote.
Yeah, it's like a test for voters, isn't it?
It really is.
Will they stick with the party even if it means ignoring this issue?
Right. Will they look the other way?
Or is this a deal breaker?
Exactly.
Like a sign that the Republican Party doesn't share their values?
Right.
It's so interesting to think about how this one statement could have such a big impact.
It is.
Not just on the Trump campaign, but on the entire Republican Party.
Absolutely.
It just shows you how complicated things are in politics today,
It really does.
especially when you're dealing with such personal and divisive issues. You know, it does feel like we're seeing something really different now, the way these personal stories are playing out in politics.
I know. It's like a whole new game.
Yeah.
And this whole thing with Melania Trump, it makes you question everything you thought you knew.
It really does.
It challenges the idea of like a political family all being on the same page,
Right.
especially about something this important.
Yeah. Do you think this means voters are paying more attention to what individuals believe
Possibly.
instead of just following party lines?
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think voters want something real. They want leaders who will be honest even when it's hard or when it goes against their own party.
And that's definitely what we're seeing here, right?
That's
Like you don't see this every day.
Oh,
This level of disagreement between a husband and wife in politics.
Right. And especially not on an issue as controversial as abortion.
Exactly. So it really makes you think.
It does.
Like, how much do you have to agree with your party
Right.
if you're a voter?
Yeah,
I mean, do
you
you just
do.
always vote for your party no matter what?
Right. Is it about the party or is it about what you really believe?
Or do you put your own beliefs first,
Uh,
even if it means voting against your party on some things?
right. And that's a tough question for a lot of people.
It really is.
Trying to balance what they personally believe
Mhm.
with staying loyal to their party.
It's the classic dilemma, right?
Totally.
Head versus heart.
Exactly.
And they both have their own consequences.
They do.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive, is there anything you really hope our listeners take away from this?
Well, I think the big takeaway here is that things are changing.
Yeah.
Politically, I mean. Melania Trump's statement, whether she meant to do it or not,
Right.
has shaken things up.
Yeah.
It reminds us that even in politics, where it's all about strategy and image, personal beliefs can still make a difference.
It's true.
And I think that's worth paying attention to.
I completely agree. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive. Thanks for breaking it all down with us.
Of course, anytime.
We'll be back next week with another deep dive. Until then, stay informed, everyone.